They thought no aid was coming until the Titan-class human warship thundered into view. The world of Carthai's Minor was dying. Smoke and fire rose from the cities, and the skies were filled with streaks of burning debris. The alien defenders had been fighting for months, but every day brought new losses. Their shields were weak, their weapons overheated, and their fleets had been scattered or destroyed. On the ground, alien soldiers moved with tired precision, knowing each fight could be their last. Among them, Captain Ethan Cole walked steadily, though his human body was small compared to the aliens he served with. He carried only a light blaster and a few grenades, but his presence inspired confidence. Even so, he could feel the hopelessness in the air. He reached the edge of a ruined plaza where alien soldiers crouched behind broken walls. The enemy had been pushing forward relentlessly, dropping massive walkers from orbit that crushed buildings and flattened defenses. Ethan crouched beside Lyra Sale, the alien commander he had grown to respect. Her blue skin was streaked with ash and blood, and her eyes glowed faintly in the smoke. She scanned the horizon with a mixture of fear and determination. "They are coming faster this time," Lyra said, her voice trembling slightly. "Our shields will not hold them long." Ethan looked toward the sky. Dark shapes moved through the clouds, distant but growing larger by the second. Enemy ships had been circling the planet for weeks, and now they were preparing for a full attack. Ethan wanted to tell her to hold on, that humanity would send help, but he could not lie. The nearest human fleet was light years away. No signal had come for weeks, and every calculation suggested that aid would not arrive in time. "We do what we can," Ethan said quietly. "Even if it is just to buy time for your people to survive." Lyra nodded, but her shoulders sagged. She had tried to keep morale high, but every day the soldiers asked the same question: when would humans come? The truth was, even she did not know. She had hoped that Ethan could give an answer, but the human advisory teams were as helpless as the rest of them. Soldiers fired from the ruins below, their blasters lighting up the smoke-filled streets. Enemy walkers stomped through buildings, their heavy feet cracking concrete and metal. Alien troops returned fire, but the distance was growing and the weapons could not reach fast enough. Ethan moved from cover to cover, helping the aliens reload, adjust their positions, and calm their fear. He could hear explosions in the distance, and each one felt closer than the last. In a small command post, Lyra spoke to her officers. Holographic screens displayed enemy movements and sensor data, all of which painted a grim picture. The planet's defenses were failing. "We must hold them at the perimeter," she said, trying to sound confident. "If the city falls, we lose everything." One officer, a tall alien with silver skin named Tarek, shook his head. "We cannot hold them," he said. "Our fleet is gone. Our weapons will overheat before we even hit half of their forces." Lyra turned to Ethan, hoping for some human perspective. "Is there anything your kind can do?" Ethan shook his head. "We can fight, but our ships are too far. The humans cannot reach us in time. We can only buy you a little time, that is all." The words hit the room like a wave. The alien officers exchanged nervous glances. Some had hoped humanity would arrive with overwhelming force, as the legend said, but it seemed the legends were just stories. Ethan could feel the despair building around him, infecting even the strongest among them. Outside, the battle intensified. The ground shook as massive explosions ripped through buildings. Alien soldiers fired desperately at walkers, but most attacks bounced harmlessly off the heavy armor. Civilians and injured soldiers huddled in shelters, praying or trying to survive. Ethan moved through the chaos, helping anyone he could, dragging them to safer areas, giving words of encouragement. "Stay low," he said. "Keep moving. We are not done yet." Lyra walked beside him, watching as alien troops struggled to regroup. She had been trained for battle her whole life, but the scale of this attack was beyond anything she had faced. She saw the fear in her people's eyes and tried to hide her own. "We must hold them until nightfall," she said, her voice stronger than she felt. "If we survive the day, maybe we can plan a counterattack." Ethan nodded. Nightfall might give them a chance to retreat or call for reinforcements, but the thought of humans arriving before then seemed impossible. He remembered the stories of Titan-class warships, the enormous ships humans built to fight entire fleets alone. They were legends, almost mythical. He had never seen one himself, but he had hoped that, somehow, one might appear in time. For now, he could only act. The first wave of enemy walkers reached the plaza. They fired massive cannons, destroying cover and sending aliens flying. Ethan ran into the open, taking aim at the weak points in the walkers. He fired carefully, hitting a joint on one machine. It stumbled and fell, crushing the ground beneath it. Alien soldiers cheered, even as more machines advanced. Every small victory counted, but the enemy's numbers were overwhelming. In a narrow alley, Ethan found a group of young alien soldiers frozen with fear. One trembled as he held a weapon far too big for him. Ethan grabbed the alien's shoulder. "You can do this," he said firmly. "Aim and fire. We fight, even if it is hard." The alien took a deep breath and fired. The shot hit a walker, causing sparks to fly. He smiled for the first time that day. Ethan nodded. "See, you can make a difference." Hours passed in a blur of fire and chaos. Explosions shook the city, buildings collapsed, and smoke filled the air. Lyra moved among her soldiers, shouting instructions, helping coordinate fire and defense. Ethan stayed close, guiding the humans and aliens alike. Every small action mattered, and yet the overall picture was grim. As dusk approached, the alien forces were exhausted. Casualties were high and morale was low. Lyra and Ethan retreated to a command bunker, watching the battlefield from reinforced glass. The streets were filled with smoke, debris, and the bodies of both the living and the fallen. The enemy forces paused briefly, reorganizing for another wave of attacks. "We will not survive another night like this," Lyra said softly, almost to herself. "Our shields will fail and the walkers will destroy the remaining districts." Ethan placed a hand on her arm. "We have to believe we can hold," he said. "We fight until the end. If humans know we are still alive, maybe help is on the way." Lyra looked at him, her eyes wide with hope and doubt. She had no reason to believe humans would reach them in time, but she had seen Ethan act with courage beyond reason. Humans fought differently, with determination and stubbornness that no alien had seen before. Maybe that was enough. As night fell, the city became a maze of shadows and fire. Alien soldiers moved through streets cautiously, firing at anything that moved. Ethan and Lyra coordinated defenses, patching weak points and giving instructions. Explosions lit up the sky like distant stars and screams echoed across the ruins. Every minute was a battle for survival. In the distance, a few ships moved in orbit. They were small human advisory ships, mostly scouts and transport craft, but they were powerless against the overwhelming enemy fleet. Ethan radioed them, giving instructions for evacuation and rescue where possible. Every human on the planet was risking their life to help, but there were simply not enough of them. Hours passed and the enemy pressed closer. Every building, every street corner became a trap. Alien soldiers fought bravely, but exhaustion and fear took their toll. Some surrendered, others hid, and a few made last stands with weapons in hand. Ethan moved from position to position, encouraging soldiers, helping them aim, and even manually firing some of the heavier weapons himself. In one collapsed district, Ethan found a small group of alien children hiding. He knelt beside them. "We are going to get through this," he said. "Stay close, stay quiet, and do exactly as I say." The children nodded, eyes wide with fear. Ethan helped them crawl to safer ground, dodging debris and fire. As midnight approached, Lyra gathered her officers in the command bunker. "We may not survive," she said plainly, "but we will not give up. Every second we hold them buys time for someone somewhere to come. We fight because that is all we can do. Ethan nodded in agreement. He knew humans were far away, that even if the Titan-class warship existed, it could not reach them in time. But for now, he had a mission: to fight, to survive, and to keep hope alive. Outside, the battle continued. Explosions lit up the night sky, shadows moved across the ruins, and the smell of smoke and burning metal filled the air. Alien soldiers fought desperately, with humans fighting beside them, and Ethan moved among them, a small figure of determination in the chaos. And though the battle seemed hopeless, he held onto one thought: as long as they were alive, hope had not completely died. Somewhere across the stars, humanity might be listening. Somewhere, a ship might be on its way. Until then, they fought, they survived, and they held on to the small chance that salvation could arrive far across human space. The situation looked different but no less urgent. Aboard the human command station orbiting the neutral star of Veyron, Admiral Nathan Brooks stood before a wide-view screen. Alarms had been silent for hours, and the only sound was the low hum of the station's engines. The signal from Carthage Minor had finally reached human sensors. It was faint, broken, and almost too late, but it was enough. Brooks' eyes narrowed as he watched the replay of the alien cities burning. The council officers around him shifted nervously. Many had seen the same footage, and most whispered that the planet was lost. The alien defenders had no chance to survive the attack, and humanity was far away. Political leaders hesitated. Sending aid would require committing the largest human warship ever built, the Titan-class vessel. Such a move was expensive, dangerous, and unprecedented. Some officers even suggested that Brooks ignore the distress. Brooks did not speak immediately. He looked at the holographic map of the sector. The enemy forces were powerful, yes, but the humans had power too, the kind the galaxy had not seen for generations. He knew that hesitation would cost lives. Finally, he spoke, his voice calm but firm. "We are not in the business of letting hope die. Prepare the Titan-class warship. We jump immediately." A murmur ran through the council room. Some officers exchanged doubtful glances, whispering about the distance and the time it would take. Brooks ignored them. He had made a decision. If Carthage Minor still had defenders alive, humans would not leave them to die. That was a rule he had followed his whole life. If someone is still fighting, you fight with them. Lieutenant Maya Clark, the operations officer, stepped forward. She had been training for this mission for years, and her expression was determined. "Admiral, the jump will push the engines beyond safe limits. The crew will face extreme stress. We may not arrive intact." Brooks nodded. "I understand, but we cannot wait. Their time is short and ours is measured differently. Prepare the crew and the vessel. Every second counts." Maya turned and left, moving quickly through the corridors of the command station. She went from station to station, checking the crew, giving orders, and ensuring that everything was ready for the jump. The Titan-class warship was enormous, larger than any ship humanity had deployed in decades. It had multiple heavy cannons, shielding systems, and a crew trained for months in extreme combat scenarios. Today, they would be tested in a real battle. As the crew prepared, Brooks walked to the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to the urgency below. He thought of Ethan Cole and the alien defenders. Somewhere out there, the people of Carthage Minor were fighting for their lives. Humanity had the power to change the outcome, but only if they acted quickly. He clenched his fists. Too much depended on speed and courage. In the hangar bays, strike craft were loaded onto the ship. Pilots ran final checks, their hands steady despite the knowledge of the long jump ahead. They knew the ship's engines would push them faster than any had ever gone, and the stress would test both ship and crew. Yet there was no hesitation. They had a mission and they would see it through. Maya returned to Brooks. "The crew is ready." The engines are stable for the jump, though just barely. All systems are green. We can leave in 5 minutes. Brooks nodded. Set coordinates for Carthage Minor. Initiate the jump sequence. Through the corridors of the ship, the crew moved efficiently. Engineers adjusted energy flows, technicians monitored shields and weapons, and the pilots prepared for the hyperspace transition. There was a tension in the air, thick and almost tangible. Everyone knew the distance, the danger, and the uncertainty. Still, they did not falter. Humans were not known for waiting quietly while others fought. They were known for acting when others would hesitate. In the observation lounge, Brooks addressed the senior officers. Our mission is clear. Carthage Minor is under attack. Alien defenders may not survive without our aid. We jump, we fight, and we do what humans do best. We do not give up. If they are alive, we save them. If they are gone, we honor their fight. This is not a drill. We are carrying hope across the stars. The officers nodded, some swallowing hard. The weight of command pressed on them, but they trusted Brooks. Humanity had faced impossible situations before, and now they would face another. Minutes passed. The jump engines powered up, humming with energy that made the deck vibrate beneath everyone's feet. Lights dimmed and panels glowed as systems aligned for the hyperspace transition. The ship's enormous frame seemed to shift slightly, as if it were stretching before the jump. Maya stood at the control station, hands poised over the activation panel. Her pulse raced, but her expression was steady. She was ready. "Coordinates locked," she said. "All systems nominal. Ready on your mark, Admiral." Brooks nodded. "Do it." A low rumble filled the ship as energy coursed through its engines. The stars outside stretched, twisting into long lines of light as the vessel accelerated faster than any had traveled before. Alarms beeped softly, monitoring systems screaming their reports. The jump was dangerous, but the crew held steady. They had trained for this, and now they were living it. Time seemed to stretch and compress at once. The hum of the engines, the vibration through the decks, and the distant stars all combined into a strange silence that filled every mind. Crew members gripped their stations, some whispering prayers, others steeling themselves for what was to come. After what felt like an eternity, the ship exited hyperspace. The stars returned to their normal patterns, and the planet of Carthage Minor appeared in the distance. Smoke and fire marked the surface. The city was still burning, and enemy ships orbited overhead. The humans had arrived, but the battle was far from over. Brooks and Maya watched the planet from the observation deck. "There it is," Brooks said quietly. "They are still fighting." "We need to move fast," Maya replied. "The defenders will not last much longer." "We drop strike craft first, then engage the enemy fleet directly." The human crew moved into action. Doors opened, strike craft descended, and pilots guided the ships into the atmosphere of Carthage Minor. Explosions lit the sky as enemy fire tried to intercept them, but human technology and coordination proved faster and more precise. One by one, the craft reached the ground, landing near alien troops who stared in disbelief. Humans were here. They were real. They were enormous, and they had come to fight. Ethan Cole, on the ground, saw the first human strike craft touch down. He blinked, not believing his eyes. Lyra Sale gasped. The humans had arrived when logic said they would not. Morale surged instantly. Alien soldiers, exhausted and terrified moments ago, now stood taller, ready to fight beside the newcomers. Brooks remained on the bridge of the Titan-class ship, coordinating attacks. Heavy cannons powered up, sweeping the orbiting enemy fleet. Alien observers on the ground could see the massive beams cutting through the enemy ships with terrifying accuracy. Human tactics were strange and precise, and the enemy did not know how to respond. Maya guided strike craft on the surface, coordinating with Ethan and Lyra via holographic comms. "Take cover here, move here, attack here," she instructed. Alien soldiers followed directions, amazed at the speed and effectiveness of human strategy. Humans moved as if the battlefield was an extension of the ship itself, responding to threats faster than anyone had imagined possible. In one ruined district, Ethan led a combined force of aliens and human marines against a wave of enemy walkers. Together, they dismantled the machines with tactics the aliens had never seen. Humans worked not as individual fighters but as a single coordinated unit, covering each other and striking where it hurt most. The enemy faltered, confused by the sudden force. Back in orbit, Brooks directed the Titan-class warship's main cannons. The beams cut through the enemy fleet, one ship after another exploding in brilliant fireballs. The alien defenders watched in awe. They had thought the humans were legends, stories told to inspire hope. Now they saw the truth. Humans were more than stories. They were power, and they had come to save them. As the battle continued, the alien soldiers began to fight with renewed energy. Morale had shifted completely. The enemy, confident of victory just hours ago, now hesitated. Human tactics, firepower, and coordination had changed the outcome before the first major wave of reinforcements had even landed. Ethan moved through the streets with a group of aliens, helping civilians, rescuing trapped soldiers, and coordinating attacks with human marines. The coordination was flawless, almost magical to the alien eye. Lyra followed, shouting instructions, amazed at the difference humans made. What had been a hopeless fight moments ago was now a battle with a chance of survival. Hours passed, and the humans kept coming. Dropships landed, cannons fired, and the Titan-class warship remained in orbit, a massive, unstoppable force. The enemy retreated where possible, but the ground was lost. Alien soldiers cheered, their faith renewed. Ethan looked at the city and realized that the impossible was happening. Humans had come when no one thought they would. Brooks and Maya coordinated the final movements of the first wave. They knew the enemy would regroup, but the initial shock had already changed the battle. Somewhere in the distance, the human strike craft moved like swarms of bees, precise and deadly. Alien defenders moved with confidence they had not felt in weeks. Together, they fought not just for survival, but for hope. By nightfall, the human crew had fully integrated with the alien defenders. Communications were seamless, firepower overwhelming, and morale unstoppable. The legend of humanity, once considered a story, became real before the eyes of the aliens. They had come, and now the battle had a chance. Ethan stood beside Lyra on a ruined hill looking down at the battlefield. "They have come," he said quietly, "just like they said they would." Lyra nodded, her eyes wide. "I cannot believe it," she whispered. "They actually came." Ethan smiled faintly. "Humans do not abandon the fight. If you are still alive, we will come for you. It is who we are." Below, the alien soldiers cheered, firing alongside humans. The tide had turned, and Carthage Minor had a chance to survive the night. Somewhere across the stars, humanity had shown its power, its courage, and its determination. And for the defenders of Carthage Minor, hope had returned. The sky above Carthage Minor shook with a deep, low rumble. Alien soldiers had been fighting all day, exhausted and battered, when suddenly the atmosphere trembled like the planet itself was breathing. Ethan Cole shielded his eyes against the glare as a streak of light tore through the clouds. A massive human warship, larger than any building on the planet, emerged from hyperspace above the surface. The alien defenders froze, unable to believe what they were seeing. Lyra Sale's jaw dropped. "It cannot be," she whispered, almost afraid to speak. "They said it would never come in time." Ethan did not answer. He could hardly believe it himself. The Titan-class human warship hovered above the battlefield like a mountain in the sky. Its engines glowed with a steady, terrifying light, and its massive weapons swiveled in slow, deliberate arcs, scanning for targets. The enemy, once confident of victory, faltered. They had seen human ships before, yes, but none of this size, none with this kind of presence. Without warning, the ship fired. Massive energy beams shot out from its cannons, streaking across the battlefield. The first wave hit the enemy fleet in orbit, and explosions blossomed like fireworks in the sky. Alien defenders watched, mouths open, as entire enemy ships disintegrated before they could respond. Ethan ran through the streets, shouting instructions. "Take cover. Move behind the walls. Humans are engaging directly." The ground shook as the warship fired again, targeting enemy walkers advancing on the city. The beams struck with precision, cutting through metal and armor as if it were paper. Sparks flew, debris scattered, and the enemy machines collapsed, useless against such overwhelming firepower. Alien soldiers who had been crouching in fear now rose, their confidence renewed. Lyra moved among them, her voice strong and commanding. "This is our chance." "We fight now, we fight together," she shouted. Alien troops cheered and surged forward, inspired by the humans. Ethan ran beside them, helping coordinate attacks, directing fire and clearing paths. Together, they pushed the enemy back, gaining ground for the first time in weeks. In a narrow street, Ethan saw a group of young aliens trapped behind rubble. He ran to them, lifting debris with strength and precision. "Come on, follow me," he called. The aliens hesitated, but seeing him, they trusted. They ran through the burning street towards safer ground. Explosions shook the buildings around them, but human strike craft swooped overhead, blasting enemies that tried to block their path. The Titan-class warship hovered in orbit, its massive guns firing again and again. Each strike destroyed enemy formations, shattering their confidence. The ship seemed unstoppable, an unmovable force of nature. Alien soldiers could hardly keep track of what the humans were doing, but they saw the effect. The enemy was faltering, disorganized, and terrified. Ethan led a combined team of humans and aliens against a walker that had been crushing a district. The machine was huge, armored, and firing with deadly accuracy. Ethan signaled to a group of human Marines. "Cover left. Fire now," he shouted. The Marines fired precision shots at the joints of the walker, while alien soldiers attacked from the flanks. The machine stumbled, sparks flying from its armor. Ethan leaped onto a nearby structure and fired a grenade that hit the central power core. The walker collapsed with a deafening crash. Lyra and her officers watched, amazed. Alien tactics had always been based on brute force or overwhelming numbers, but humans were different. They coordinated, moved with speed, and struck exactly where it hurt most. The alien defenders were learning, adapting, and for the first time they felt a true chance at victory. The enemy fleet in orbit tried to respond. Smaller ships attempted to flank the Titan-class warship, firing missiles and energy beams. Human defenses were fast, precise, and deadly. Enemy ships were destroyed before they could approach, one after another. The alien defenders on the ground stared, unable to believe their eyes. Humans had arrived and their power was unimaginable. Ethan moved through the battlefield, helping wherever he could. Civilians were being rescued, injured soldiers were carried to safety, and alien troops were directed to hold key positions. He saw a small alien child trapped under debris. Without hesitation, he lifted the rubble and carried the child to safety. The child clung to him, eyes wide with fear and awe. Ethan smiled faintly. Humans did not leave anyone behind, and this child was proof. On the observation deck of the Titan-class warship, Admiral Brooks and Lieutenant Maya Clark coordinated the attacks. "We need to hit the main enemy command ship next," Brooks said. "Take it out and the rest will scatter," Maya nodded. "Coordinates locked, weapons ready." "We fire on your mark." "Fire now," Brooks ordered. The ship's massive cannon powered up, glowing with immense energy. A beam struck the enemy command ship directly, cutting through shields and armor. The explosion rocked the battlefield, sending waves of debris across the planet's surface. Alien soldiers cheered. The enemy command had fallen. Confusion spread among the invaders, and their attacks became disorganized. Ethan and Lyra seized the opportunity. They led their combined forces forward, pushing the enemy back from the city center. Human Marines covered the flanks, firing at walkers and enemy soldiers alike. Alien troops fought with renewed courage, inspired by humans who refused to stop, who seemed unstoppable. As night fell, the Titan-class warship remained in orbit, a glowing sentinel above the battlefield. Its presence alone shifted the balance. The enemy, once confident, now fled where possible, leaving behind wreckage and broken machines. Alien defenders moved through the streets, securing key positions and helping civilians escape the burning buildings. Ethan ran from group to group, checking on the wounded, directing fire, and ensuring the humans and aliens worked together seamlessly. In a collapsed plaza, Ethan found Lyra surrounded by injured soldiers. He helped carry them to a safer building. She looked at him with gratitude and exhaustion. "You have changed everything," she said. "We only do what we must," Ethan replied. "Humans fight when others cannot." "That is all." Below, alien soldiers whispered among themselves. Stories of humanity had always sounded like legends, tales of impossible strength and courage. Now they saw the truth. Humans did not arrive quietly or slowly. They came with force, precision, and determination that no one could match. Hope, once thought lost, had returned in full. The enemy tried to regroup, but the Titan-class warship struck again, destroying their remaining ships and walkers. Human strike craft swooped down, cutting off escape routes and securing the battlefield. Alien troops followed, learning from the humans, moving faster, coordinating fire, and fighting with courage they had not felt in weeks. Ethan moved to a hill overlooking the city. Smoke rose from burning buildings, fires lit the streets, and explosions still cracked the night sky. Yet the enemy had lost their advantage. Alien defenders cheered as human Marines helped evacuate civilians and secure key areas. Ethan looked at the Titan-class warship above, its massive form glowing in the night sky. "They have come," Lyra said beside him, her voice soft with awe, "and they will not leave until we are safe." Ethan nodded. "That is what humans do. We do not abandon the fight. If you are still alive, we come for you." Below, alien soldiers moved with confidence, inspired by humans who had risked everything to arrive. Some fought with precision they had never known, others helped the wounded and trapped. The presence of humans had changed the battle completely. What had been hopeless hours ago was now a fight with a chance of survival. In the distance, the last enemy forces were trying to flee. Human strike craft intercepted them, while the Titan-class warship fired its final shots for the night. The enemy, overwhelmed and disoriented, scattered in every direction. Alien defenders cheered and regrouped, amazed at the power humans brought to the fight. Ethan ran through the streets one last time that night, checking on the wounded and ensuring the survivors were safe. Lyra followed, her eyes wide with respect. She had always believed in courage and strategy, but humans had shown her something more: determination, stubbornness, and a willingness to fight against impossible odds. On the observation deck of the Titan-class warship, Brooks and Maya watched the battlefield. "They are holding," Brooks said quietly. "The defenders have survived the first wave. Now we prepare for what comes next." Maya nodded. "Humans have made their presence felt. The enemy knows we are here. They will not attack recklessly again, but the tide has turned. We have done what we came to do." Ethan and Lyra stood together on a ruined hill, looking at the battlefield below. Fires burned, smoke rose, and alien defenders moved among civilians and debris. "We survived today," Ethan said. "Because of you," Lyra replied softly. Ethan shook his head. "Because humans do not leave anyone behind. We fight when others cannot. You were still alive. That was enough for us." Below, alien soldiers whispered stories of humans, once legends, now reality. They spoke of courage, strength, and determination beyond their understanding. Tonight, the galaxy had seen what humans could do, And for Ethan Cole and the defenders of Carthage Minor, hope had returned. The impossible had happened. Humans had arrived, and the battle, for the first time in weeks, had a chance of being won. The battle on Carthage Minor continued into the next day. Smoke still rose from the burning city, and fires flickered across the streets. Alien defenders moved through the ruins, now confident and coordinated, inspired by the humans who had arrived. Ethan Cole ran from group to group, checking on injured soldiers, helping direct fire and keeping morale high. He had never seen the aliens fight with such determination, and the humans had changed everything. Lyra Sale moved beside him, coordinating reinforcements and directing the aliens in ways she had never imagined before. She had learned from humans, watching their tactics and strategy, and now she applied it to her people. "Hold this street and cover the civilians," she shouted. Aliens rushed to obey, their fear replaced by courage. Human strike craft swooped across the battlefield, cutting off enemy escape routes and hitting the last pockets of resistance. Pilots followed precise instructions from Lieutenant Maya Clark, whose calm voice guided every movement. "Move left, fire, retreat, regroup," she said over the comms. The humans acted as one, seamless and deadly, while alien soldiers copied their actions, striking faster and smarter than before. Ethan led a team through a ruined district, where enemy walkers tried to crush the remaining buildings. He signaled a group of human marines to cover the left flank, while he and alien soldiers moved closer to attack the walkers' weak points. Explosions shook the area as humans and aliens worked together, disabling machines that had seemed unstoppable yesterday. Each success gave the defenders hope, and each fallen enemy was a small victory they desperately needed. From orbit, the Titan-class warship continued to dominate. Its massive cannons fired in controlled bursts, destroying enemy ships before they could reach the planet. Alien soldiers watched in awe as beams of energy cut through walkers and enemy vehicles with precision. The presence of the ship alone changed the battle. The enemy fleet no longer dared attack openly. They stayed hidden, waiting, confused by the human strength. Lyra and Ethan moved toward a barricade where alien soldiers were pinned down. The defenders had been cornered by enemy fire and could not advance. Ethan knelt, helping the aliens adjust their weapons and aim at weak points in the enemy machines. "Fire now," he shouted. Coordinated shots struck the walkers' joints, causing sparks and explosions. Alien soldiers cheered as the machines collapsed, their heavy frames falling with a deafening crash. In another district, human strike craft landed, dropping Marines to help evacuate civilians trapped in burning buildings. Alien soldiers followed, carrying children and the injured to safer zones. The combination of humans and aliens created a force that the enemy could not resist. They tried to regroup, but humans struck faster than they could react. Every wave of enemy attacks was met with deadly precision, and the alien defenders learned to trust in their new allies. Ethan noticed a group of young alien soldiers hesitating under heavy fire. He ran to them. "Follow me," he shouted. "We fight together." He led them through rubble and debris, helping them fire at enemy walkers. The aliens followed, inspired by his courage. Together, they disabled 2 more walkers, opening a path for civilians to escape. Lyra watched the battlefield, amazed at how humans had changed the outcome. Alien soldiers fought with confidence they had never felt. Where fear had paralyzed them yesterday, courage now guided every move. Humans had shown them how to fight smart, to move together, and to never give up. In the sky, enemy reinforcements tried to break through. Small ships attempted to flank the Titan-class warship, but Maya Clark anticipated every move. Human cannons fired with deadly accuracy, cutting through the ships before they could reach orbit. The enemy fleet faltered, confusion spreading among their ranks. The humans were relentless, striking where it hurt most. Ethan ran across a destroyed plaza, helping alien civilians escape. Explosions shook the streets, but humans and aliens worked together, covering each other and striking at the enemy. One group of alien soldiers hesitated, trapped by debris. Ethan grabbed a fallen beam and lifted it with his strength, clearing the way. The aliens followed, amazed by his courage and determination. Lyra led a counterattack with alien forces, moving toward the enemy's main ground base. Humans provided covering fire from strike craft and from the Titan-class warship above. The combination was unstoppable. Enemy forces tried to resist, but they were overwhelmed by the speed and precision of human tactics combined with alien determination. Ethan and a team of humans and aliens moved through the streets, clearing pockets of resistance. Enemy walkers fell to coordinated attacks, and soldiers who had once feared defeat now fought boldly. Civilians were guided to safety, and the alien defenders regained control of key districts. Every victory, small or large, strengthened the hope among the people. From orbit, the Titan-class warship fired at remaining enemy ships. Beams of energy lit up the sky, cutting through the darkness. Alien defenders below cheered as entire enemy formations were destroyed. The warship moved slowly, covering each sector, ensuring that humans and aliens could advance safely. Lyra turned to Ethan as they regrouped after clearing a street. "They are learning," she said. "The alien soldiers are moving faster, thinking faster. Your presence has changed everything." Ethan nodded. "Humans do not fight alone. We inspire others to fight with us. You are alive. That is enough for us to come. Now we fight together." In the distance, enemy command units tried to regroup, but the Titan-class warship fired again, destroying their main ground station. Confusion spread among the enemy forces, and their attacks became disorganized. Alien soldiers seized the opportunity, pushing forward with renewed energy. Ethan moved to a group of young alien soldiers who had been afraid to fight. "Watch the humans," he said. "Follow their lead. Aim, fire, move, survive. We fight together and we win together." The soldiers nodded, firing at enemy walkers with guidance from human marines. Coordinated attacks destroyed 3 more machines, opening a path for the alien defenders to advance. Civilians were evacuated, and the city began to look less like a battlefield and more like a place being reclaimed. Lyra coordinated another strike, leading her troops into the heart of the enemy base. Humans provided covering fire and tactical advice, directing attacks and coordinating movement. The enemy tried to resist, but their strength had been broken by the relentless power of the Titan-class warship and the precision of human strategy. Ethan ran through the streets, helping injured soldiers and civilians. He fired at enemy forces when necessary, guiding alien troops and ensuring they stayed alive. Each small victory mattered, and he knew that every moment of survival brought the defenders closer to a full victory. From above, the Titan-class warship hovered, firing in controlled bursts. Its massive cannon struck enemy concentrations with precision. Alien soldiers watched in awe as humans destroyed enemy machines and ships effortlessly. Fear turned into courage, despair into hope. The legend of humanity was real, and it was alive on the battlefield. Maya Clark guided human strike craft in coordinated attacks, hitting enemy positions, rescuing civilians, and supporting alien forces. The combination of humans and aliens created a fighting force that the enemy could not overcome. Their formations were broken, their attacks scattered, and their confidence destroyed. Ethan and Lyra moved through the streets together, checking on wounded soldiers and civilians. "We fight because we must survive," Ethan said. "But we fight better when we fight together." "Humans do not leave anyone behind," Lyra nodded. "Your people are incredible. They do not just fight, they inspire." Below, alien soldiers shouted in triumph, firing at the last pockets of enemy resistance. Human marines covered their flanks, moving swiftly and striking with deadly accuracy. The enemy, once confident, now fled wherever they could, abandoning weapons and machinery in their haste. Ethan moved to help civilians escape a collapsing building. Flames licked the walls, smoke filled the air, and debris fell around him. He carried as many as he could, moving quickly through the streets. Alien soldiers followed his lead, helping evacuate people and fight off the remaining enemy. In the distance, the Titan-class warship fired its final shots for the day. The enemy fleet was shattered, their ground forces decimated, and their command structures destroyed. Humans and aliens had won the day, but the battle was not over. They needed to secure the city, help the wounded, and prepare for any remaining threats. Lyra turned to Ethan, exhausted but smiling. "We have survived today because of you. Because of them," she said, pointing to the humans. Ethan shook his head. "They survived because humans came, and humans fight when others cannot. We do what we must. Now we prepare for what comes next." The alien soldiers moved through the streets, securing districts, helping civilians, and removing the last traces of enemy presence. Humans continued to coordinate, moving seamlessly with the aliens, providing cover, firepower, and guidance. The battlefield, once chaotic and hopeless, was now under control. From orbit, the Titan-class warship monitored the area, ready to fire if any remaining enemy forces tried to return. The sheer presence of the massive ship kept the surviving enemy in fear. Humanity had arrived, and the defenders of Carthage Minor would not be abandoned again. Ethan stood with Lyra on a hill overlooking the city. Fire still burned, smoke rose, and the streets were filled with survivors. "We have changed the battle," Ethan said. "Yes," Lyra replied, "and we will never forget it. Humans are more than legends, they are hope itself." And for the first time in weeks, alien soldiers felt something they had thought lost: hope. Humans had come, and together they had turned the tide of the battle. The city was theirs, the enemy was retreating, and the defenders could finally breathe. The impossible had been achieved, and the legend of humanity had grown even stronger. The sun rose over Carthage Minor, painting the city in red and gold. Smoke still drifted from broken buildings, and the air smelled of fire and burnt metal. Alien defenders walked through the streets, checking on civilians and repairing what they could. The enemy had fled, leaving behind their wrecked machines and abandoned weapons. For the first time in weeks, the planet felt calm. Ethan Cole moved carefully through a ruined district, helping alien soldiers clear rubble and carry the wounded. He had not slept properly for days, but he ignored fatigue. Every person saved was a life given back, and that was more important than his own rest. Alien soldiers watched him, inspired by his determination and courage. They had never seen a human act so tirelessly. Lyra Sale walked beside him, her eyes scanning the horizon. She had fought in many battles before, but nothing compared to what had happened here. Humans had arrived when all hope seemed lost. Their presence had changed the course of the battle. Alien soldiers now whispered stories of humans, speaking with reverence about the courage, strength, and skill they had witnessed. Ethan approached a group of children hiding in a half-collapsed building. He crouched beside them and smiled gently. "You are safe now," he said. "Humans came and we fought with your people. No one will hurt you again today." The children's eyes widened, filled with relief. They clung to him as he guided them to a safer area. Alien soldiers followed, amazed at how humans cared not only about fighting but also about protecting the innocent. From orbit, the Titan-class warship watched the planet like a guardian. Its massive guns were still ready, scanning for any signs of the enemy. Human strike craft moved across the surface, checking for hidden threats and helping alien forces secure the city. Lieutenant Maya Clark directed every movement with precision, ensuring that humans and aliens worked together seamlessly. The battlefield that had seemed hopeless only days ago was now under control. Ethan and Lyra moved toward the central plaza, where alien officers had gathered. They had begun organizing the survivors, setting up medical stations, and restoring communication networks. The aliens had learned much from humans, and now they were applying those lessons to rebuild their defenses. "The humans arrived when we thought it was too late," Lyra said softly. "They showed us courage we never imagined. We owe them our lives." Ethan shook his head. "They fought because you were still alive. Humans do not leave anyone behind. That is all we did. Now you live and your people can survive." In the distance, alien civilians cheered as human Marines helped repair streets and restore order. Children ran to their parents, soldiers hugged each other, and even the wounded smiled as humans worked tirelessly to secure the city. The alien defenders, once exhausted and fearful, now moved with confidence, knowing that they had allies they could trust. Ethan moved to a group of alien officers who were planning to rebuild their communication network. He helped them understand human strategies for organizing and coordinating large groups quickly. The aliens listened carefully, realizing that humans had taught them far more than just how to fight. They had shown them how to survive and adapt under impossible conditions. From orbit, the Titan-class warship remained a silent protector. Its massive silhouette reminded everyone on the ground that humans were still there, ready to intervene if needed. Alien soldiers and civilians alike looked up at the ship with awe, understanding that its presence alone had changed the enemy's plans and saved countless lives. Ethan walked with Lyra to a small hill overlooking the city. They watched as alien soldiers and human Marines moved through the streets together, clearing debris and securing key positions. The air was filled with a strange mix of smoke, fire, and hope. The battle was over, but the recovery had just begun. "Your people will never forget this day," Lyra said. "They thought humans were legends. Now they know the truth." Ethan smiled faintly. "They will tell stories, and maybe one day those stories will reach the stars. But for now, focus on your people. We did what we could. You live because humans came." In another part of the city, a group of alien soldiers found a child trapped in rubble. One human Marine lifted the debris effortlessly while another guided the child to safety. The soldiers watched, amazed at the teamwork and dedication of humans. Every small act had saved lives, and every action inspired hope. As the day went on, alien commanders began organizing rebuilding efforts. Humans provided guidance, sharing strategies for resource distribution, medical care, and defense coordination. The alien defenders realized that humanity's strength was not only in their weapons, but also in their ability to inspire, organize, and lead under pressure. Ethan and Lyra moved through the city together, checking on the wounded and helping wherever they could. Alien civilians approached, thanking them for saving their families. Ethan smiled, shaking hands and offering words of reassurance. The humans had come to fight, but they had also come to protect. From orbit, the Titan-class warship monitored the horizon. Brooks and Maya observed the movements of the remaining enemy forces, ensuring that none could regroup or launch a surprise attack. The presence of the massive ship kept the enemy in fear, and alien defenders on the ground felt safe knowing that humans were watching over them. Ethan found a group of exhausted alien soldiers resting in a ruined plaza. He knelt beside them, offering water and simple words of encouragement. "You fought well," he said. "Today you survived because you never gave up and because humans came to help. Remember this. You are strong." The soldiers nodded, inspired by his words. Lyra moved to coordinate a group clearing debris from a main road. Humans helped, giving advice on tools and techniques to move rubble quickly and efficiently. The combined effort of humans and aliens created a sense of unity and trust that had not existed before. The city, though damaged, began to feel like it was alive again. Ethan watched as alien soldiers helped civilians, guided by human Marines. Every action seemed to build confidence. The battle had been won, but more importantly, hope had returned. Humans had shown that even in the darkest hours, help could arrive when it mattered most. In a command post, Lyra spoke to her officers. "We have survived because of humans," she said. "We have learned from them, and our people will never forget this day. The galaxy will remember what humans can do when they come to help." Ethan stood beside her, listening to the officers discuss rebuilding plans and strategies for defense. He knew their survival depended on more than just weapons. It depended on courage, coordination, and the willingness to act when others would hesitate. Humans had shown them all of these qualities in full. From the observation deck of the Titan-class warship, Brooks looked down at the planet. The fires were smaller now, smoke drifting in the wind. Human strike craft moved across the surface, assisting alien forces. The battle was over, but the work of rebuilding had just begun. He knew that humanity had changed the fate of Carthage Minor, and the story of their arrival would spread across the galaxy. Maya Clark coordinated one last sweep of the battlefield. Humans and aliens worked together seamlessly, clearing debris, securing districts, and ensuring that survivors were safe. The enemy had no power to resist, and the city was slowly being restored to order. The alien defenders moved with confidence, their fear replaced by determination. Ethan walked through a quiet street, now safe, where children played and families hugged. He smiled faintly, realizing how much had changed in just a few days. Humans had arrived when no one thought it possible, and the lives of countless aliens had been saved. The legend of humanity was no longer a story, it was reality. Lyra joined him, her face reflecting exhaustion and relief. "We owe you everything," she said softly. Ethan shook his head. "We only did what humans do. We fight when others cannot. You survived, and that is enough." In the distance, alien soldiers and human marines worked together, sharing stories and laughter amidst the ruins. The bond between them was strong, built on courage, trust, and the knowledge that they had faced the impossible together. The Titan-class warship remained above, a symbol of humanity's power and determination. As night fell, the city was calm. Fires burned low, and the streets were filled with survivors tending to their wounded and rebuilding what they could. Ethan and Lyra stood on a hill, looking at the city they had helped save. Hope had returned, stronger than ever. "Humans are more than legends," Lyra said. "They are a promise. If we live, they will come. If we fight, they will help. That is what they are," Ethan smiled. "And now your people will remember it. They will tell the story of how humans came when all seemed lost. They will tell it across the stars. Hope lives because humans fight." Below, alien soldiers moved with confidence, helping civilians, securing districts, and clearing debris. Human marines assisted every step of the way, providing guidance, cover, and protection. The bond between them had been forged in fire, battle, and determination. Together, they had survived. In the days that followed, alien leaders worked with humans to rebuild their city, restore communication, and strengthen defenses. Stories of human courage spread across the planet. They told of the Titan-class warship, the humans who fought tirelessly, and the heroes like Ethan Cole who refused to leave anyone behind. The galaxy would remember this day. The humans had come when all hope seemed lost. They had changed the outcome of the battle, saved lives, and inspired hope. The legend of humanity was no longer just a story. It was alive, real, and unforgettable. Ethan stood one last time on the hill, looking at the people below. Children played, soldiers smiled, and humans worked alongside aliens. He felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that their efforts had made a difference. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes shining. "We survived," she said, "and humanity showed us what courage really is." Ethan nodded. "We came because you were still alive. That is all humans need. If you live, we fight. If you fight, we come. And now hope lives here on Carthage Minor because of that." The Titan-class warship hovered silently above the planet, a guardian in the sky. Humans had arrived, fought, and inspired. The alien defenders had survived, their city slowly being restored, and their people safe. The impossible had been achieved, and the galaxy had witnessed the power and determination of humanity. And from that day forward, the story of Carthai's miner spread across the stars. Humans were no longer just legends. They were hope, courage, and a promise that if you fought and survived, they would come.